Hello everyone. Today we are going to explore ProWritingAid.com. You will need to create a free account and verify your account before you can get started. Once you have an account, go to the website and click on Start Web Editor. At the top of ProWritingAid, there are essential tools that you are going to use to help you revise and edit your work. I do not recommend uploading a document. Instead, what you should do is copy paste from your Microsoft Word document into ProWritingAid. Please use the Control+C to copy and Control+V to paste. When it pops up asking you to go ahead and upload your document, just click No. We're going to begin with some core parts in ProWritingAid. So I like to do style, sticky, then grammar. We're going to start with style. I'm going to click on style. You go to where it's underlined and it's going to give you advice. Now remember, this is a computer program. Even though it's highly robust and it's pretty intellectual, it doesn't always read everything in context. So you have to be careful and think about whether you should accept the suggestion or not accept the suggestion. So for example, in the Cinderella Tales, marriage is the ultimate goal. Do you really need the word ultimate? It's telling you that readability may be enhanced by removing this. So then you read, in the Cinderella Tales, marriage is the ultimate goal. In the Cinderella Tales, marriage is the goal. If ultimate is an unnecessary word, then you go ahead and you remove it. Now here's what I expect you to do. You don't want to remove everything in ProWritingAid and then try to copy paste it back into your document because it will mess up your formatting. So instead, open up your document and go ahead and make the change immediately. And simply do it this way. This is the quickest and best way to go about it. You can only paste about 300 words at a time, so I suggest doing one paragraph at a time, which is better anyway, so you can stay focused. But you're going to go through each underlined section. Notice in this part, it's a quote from the literary text, so therefore you would not make a change in a quote, even if it's grammatically incorrect, because it comes directly from the text. So we're going to go down here to this one. This says, passive verbs make your writing less direct. In Cinderella's case, she is rescued from her mistreatment. So you have to make a decision. Is it best to say she is rescued from her mistreatment, or should you change it to we, they, I, or it? It doesn't really make sense. We, they, and I are pronouns. Personal pronouns, we don't want to use those types of words in academic writing, so we'll keep the she in this particular case. Over here it says readability may be enhanced by changing the word choice to because of or for. So mistreatment from her family by the prince due to her marriage, because of her marriage, or for her marriage. Possibly because of sounds a little bit better. Her family by the prince because of her marriage. This is an opportunity to go make a change in your paper. Of course, you want to read the whole sentence in context and see if everything makes sense. By the way, this is a piece of writing from a former student early on in a semester from like a 1301 class. So there's a lot of things that need to be worked on here. We have right here is what. Should we use is what? This occurrence of marriage being the savior of despair is what enables. Do we need is what? Actually, anytime we can use a strong verb, we want to take out these little words. So if we take it out, savior of despair enables marriage. And then here we go with ultimate again. Do we really need that? What if we took that out? Savior of despair enables marriage to be the ultimate, to be the goal in the tale. So that's how we look at it, and we decide, we make decisions whether we should keep something or whether we should lose something. So that's using the style button. Now I'm going to come up here and I'm going to click on readability because I want to use the sticky button. In the tales, not only is Cinderella entrapped by this marriage fantasy, but her sisters are as well. There's a lot of problems with this sentence. It's considered a sticky sentence, meaning that most of the words are little words with very little meaning, such as in, the, not only, is, by, this, but, are, as well. This sentence could use some serious revision, and it's showing you that this sentence would be a lot better if you use more content words and less of these little glue words. Revise this sentence completely so it makes more sense and it's a stronger, tighter sentence. So here we go. Let's try this out. In the tales, not only is Cinderella entrapped by this marriage fantasies, but her sisters are as well. So let's start with who's entrapped, the sisters and Cinderella. Do we need to say in the tales not only is? Probably not. Too many words. Lots of little words here. So we're going to back out, take those words out, and then we're going to say Cinderella and her sisters, but we probably should say stepsisters because that's who they are in the story. Stepsisters are entrapped. We're going to take these words out because we've already used them. Are entrapped by this marriage fantasy. Does that make sense? By this marriage fantasy, is there a better way to say this? What if we flip these words around and we said entrapped by a fantasy of marriage? What if we changed it to that? By a fantasy of marriage. So let's read the sentence. Cinderella and her stepsisters are entrapped by a fantasy of marriage. So let's go back up here and click on sticky again and see what happens. So it's no longer picking it up as a sticky sentence, and I'm going to go back to core and I'm going to click on style again and see if there's a problem with this sentence. So Cinderella and her sisters are entrapped by a fantasy of marriage. Okay, so this is saying that it's passive. Now, sometimes in academic writing, there's not really much choice except to use some passive verbs. But anytime you can use strong verbs, you want to go for that. So is there a way we can fix this? Cinderella and her stepsisters, let's see, Cinderella and her stepsisters are entrapped by a fantasy of marriage. Can't really think of another way to say that at the moment, but if we thought of another way of saying it where we can use this stronger verb up front, then we would go for that. So we possibly could say entrapped by a fantasy of marriage, Cinderella and her stepsisters. No, we don't want to go backwards there. That's not going to work. Let's see, Cinderella and her stepsisters. No, I think we're just going to have to leave that. So I'm going to just make the decision that this will be okay. So that's what you kind of have to do. You kind of got to go through that process to decide. You want to use as many strong verbs as possible, but if you can't think of a way to change it at the moment, then move on to the next thing and see if there's something else you can work on. And remember, you want to, anytime you make changes, you want to go back into the original Microsoft Word document and do each change one at a time. Now we're also going to go up here to grammar. Of course, we haven't cleaned everything up with our style and sticky. Normally we would do that. We go through all of the different underlines to see if we need to clean that up, and then go into grammar and see what it underlines. So it's telling us her status. Well, obviously we don't want to say hero status, so that doesn't make sense. So we'll let that go. We're going to disable or ignore it. When marriage occurs in Cinderella, it's just telling us that we could probably use a comma here, which does make sense. Also, by the way, this is the story, so we want to make sure that we put quotation marks around the story title. So we're going to do that. Then down here it says missing comma, so that's picking up a comma for us. Oops, except that this is actually directly from the text, so we're going to just leave that alone. So that's how you go through the basics: style, sticky, grammar, and I'm going to show you a couple of other things. We have all repeats and echoes, so to keep yourself from being repetitive or repeating the same words or phrases over and over again, you can go through all repeats and echoes. There's quite a bit in here. There's a lot of work to do for that. Some of it is taken directly from the text, so you can ignore that. Let's look at echoes. A lot of work to do in here. Same thing. We can go to structure. You may or may not need to use structure, but transition might be a good one to see if you have some good transitions. Readability, if you were writing for a younger age group and you wanted to see what the readability level is, it's a good place to go. But it's also good to pick up on cliches to see if you have any. None in here. And your use of pronouns, especially in academic writing. In particular, you want to look to make sure that you're not using I, me, you. Of course, some of these are quotes, so that's a different thing. Then we're going to go into consistency. So let's just see what we get here. Nice, no problems there. And you have to pay to be able to use the plagiarism, so it's free for just about everything else, but if you want to check your work for plagiarism, you would have to pay for that. You can also check your work for plagiarism through the college's plagiarism checkers, so you could do that as well, either SafeAssign or Turnitin. So that's pretty much what ProWriting Aid looks like. What I suggest you do, one paragraph at a time. Every time you make a change, go back into your Microsoft Word document and change it again right there in the document. Make that change there as well. And then make sure you use style sticky grammar. And for those of you who are a little further along in your writing abilities, more advanced, then I suggest you also look at the cliches, the pronouns, and the echoes and repeats. Play around with this software. It's really awesome. If you decide that you really like it and you're going to do a lot of writing and you want to purchase it, the difference is that you can download it into your Microsoft Office program and it will pop up on the side instead of at top. So it looks a little bit different. You'll have to kind of play with it to see how it works. But if you do that, make sure that you Google a coupon code, because there's almost always a code out there available so that you don't have to pay full price. So this is ProWritingAid.com. Please use this program. It is robust. It will help you with your writing. It will help you to revise and edit and find your own consistent mistakes that you make, and so that you can start to fix those things.